You really go through the ringer this season. Like you get like River really gets put through his paces pretty early on. How was it kind of like charting his journey in series 3, Jack?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely been the most physically sort of demanding in that way. Everything done in a safe way, of course. But yeah, River is definitely sore in more ways than one in this one. His journey, I've always loved his journey and the journey that we are building with him and, obviously with all the characters is really interesting, just that it moves past the sort of espionage aspect of him and his personal sort of journey. Starting as someone that felt completely wrong to be where he is, and sort of waking up each day thinking that he doesn't deserve this. So it's always very interesting anytime I get to play him, and this one more so than the other two, and it's just going to keep building from there. So I'm quite excited to see where we take him. Yeah, not just physically.
Of course, you've had the privilege of working with a rotating set of directors each series. We did James, Jeremy, and now Saul. How was it? What did Saul bring to the set and to the production for this season?
Saul, I love the fact he's Scottish. Doesn't begin and end there. But he has a fantastic eye, Saul. He's got a great taste. He's very sort of hands-off in terms of performance and things like that. So he creates a very he creates a great stage, so to speak, for the actors to really sort of poke and prod around, which I think is natural anyway. I think if when the actor spent so long with a character, he was wonderful at sort of respecting that and just sort of shouting in from the sidelines with any suggestions. So as an actor, it was quite wonderful to work with him, and having seen this now. He really does have a great eye and a great feel for that sort of thrillerness. But while still being able to capture, what Slow Horses really is about, which is normal people.
I love that. You were talking about the evolution of River, and I love that he still, after all he's been through, still has that impulsiveness and there's a bit of a cockiness, even as he's getting the beat to Sunday. But nice. What are some of your touchstones for the character every time you come back to set for a new season?
My touchstone normally is that he thinks he's better than everyone. Not in a flashy kind of way. I think he just innately believes that he is. And what I enjoy about that is that the situations that he gets himself into or others put him in, he doesn't have complete control over them. So that's where his frustration comes from, that I enjoy so much playing and watching his frustration. Because he does think he's better than everyone, and when everything doesn't go exactly as planned, that's where the comic element comes into playing River, is that sort of Larry Davidness, kind of just really sort of annoyed with the world. So that is my touchstone, is to sort of walk on set when I become River, thinking that I know better than everyone. certainly not on this set would I ever, Jack, think that.
Well, you've worked with, you had worked with Kristen before this, and obviously, you've worked with Gary for several years now. Like, how is your rapport with the rest of the cast? Because it really does feel like you all have gelled like an ensemble.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's sort of interesting in many ways because, the shoots are so long and River is quite often on his own. So Jack, spend quite a lot of time out with a lot of the cast, but we have a wonderful crew that has become our families. They are world class, our crew, and they're wonderful people. So I don't get to spend as much time as I probably would on other things with most of the cast, but when I do, yeah, they're wonderful, and yeah, like you said, some of them are legends. So it's just great to just watch them, if anything.
When you first got the role of River, did you had you read Mick's novels before? Did you research them heavily, or did you just try to stick with whatever was on the page and build from there?
I hadn't read them, no, and I tried to stick, and still am trying to stick to whatever's on the page, and then ultimately what happens on the day. But then, it just became inevitable because I just fell in love with Slow Horses, obviously. So I listened to them on audiobook and try to not listen past what we've made. I tried to listen to whatever book that we're making at the time. So this one was Real Tigers. So I was listening to that as we were making it, and it's they're read wonderfully by an actor, and so it's they're fantastic. But yeah, I try and stick to the page. I try and do that with everything I do. Yeah. With
that in mind, what has surprised you the most in seeing the directions that River has gone?
I'm not really surprised, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not surprised at all. I really love the sort of, it's become a thing on our set, and when talking about it, and it's sort of slightly becoming one now, just outside of the set, is the line of, well, that's very Slow Horses. If anything sort of is done in a weird way, or it doesn't work out or whatever, it's almost becoming a byline. It's very Slow Horses. So nothing really surprises me with River at the moment. I would love to be surprised. I'd love him to end up back where he wanted to be and see how he operated. I kind of feel like he would want to go back to Slough House, probably, begrudgingly. But no, I've not been too surprised so far. No, they're mad.
Well, you were mentioning, like, that's so Slow Horses. Like, what is about Slow Horses that you find singular or unique amongst all these kind of spy stories? Everything about Whitehall and MI5. It's like, okay, yeah, but this really only fits for our show.
I think because of how much Slow Horses goes into the people, and how it really follows the people, and most of them, in fact, all of them, are completely and utterly flawed, which makes them human. Quite often in these things, they aren't flawed, or they have very predictable flaws, so I think that's what makes this unique, is the combination of the sort of coolness of the world of espionage and the darkness of it with the human nature of it. And I remember way at the beginning, the few times that we managed to speak to ex-spies or people who used to work in the industry or whatever industry. It's a tough industry, of course it is, and it's tough psychologically on the people that work in it. I think the psychological impact of having to keep secrets, whether that is from loved ones in terms of, even admitting what it is you do for a living, or I don't know, that weighs heavily on people and can cause them to turn to certain things to cope. And I think that's what Slow Horses does brilliantly, is shine a light on that.
Yeah. My grandfather was CIA throughout the Cold War, and I'll never know what he did, and in talking about, like, what do you find about intelligence types? Wow. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like, well, I guess as far as I know, he never really talked about it, but but yeah, in terms of intelligence types and meeting with these people, what was some kind of like psychological thing that you noticed about them that you wanted to carry over to your performance?
The one thing I noticed with one person in particular, which was really interesting, was they do have a lot of self-belief, and they do think they're the smartest people in the room. And I think that probably comes from the fact that they are quite often the smartest people in the room. I hope they are, for our sake. But the information that they're obviously that they hold, and the things that they know, will make them feel slightly above everybody else. And they are people that revel in that. And I think that's a large draw, according to this one person we spoke to, a large draw of brilliant, smart people to that, to the world of espionage, is knowing that you're in possession of things that most people don't know. So that one was a big help for River, because I think that's quite key to River. But also quite evidently the huge psychological pressures that are on these people was another wonderful thing to hear as an actor.
Absolutely. And that is my time. You can catch new episodes of Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus, all 3 seasons. And Jack, congrats on season 4, and thanks for taking the time this morning.
No worries, my pleasure. Thank you.